Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on February 19th, 2022 at approximately 6:53 a.m. BST. I've been very pleased with the way things have been going, but before I get into it, understand I came back to this world. I came back to this lifetime at this time for one primary reason. And that is to pass on a simple message to everyone in existence. Okay, and I do mean everyone. That message is simple. Working together, we can make this a better world for most people. Now, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Okay, subscribe to the channel and, absolutely pass this message on to everyone you meet. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide for one primary reason. Okay. To me, it's not a question of who you worship, of what you think is important in life, really. As far as monetary goes, whether you think friends are important, what matters to me is how people treat each other and the resulting energy discharge. And when I say people, I mean every entity in existence. Okay. Now, I've been really happy. And as said, any comments you have, I'd love to see them below. Okay. Below this video, you'll find a whole list of ways of getting a hold of me. So if you've got a comment you prefer the world not to see, send it to me through one of the contact points that is listed below. A lot of the information I have is also listed. A lot of the booklets I've written are also listed. And they're all available directly through me. Okay, so absolutely, again, do take a look at that. The one final issue is some of you may go looking for my phone number. I will tell you right now, if I don't recognize the number, I'm not answering. So if you've got access to a cell phone and you're trying to contact me, either text me first and tell me who you are and where you came across me, or drop me an email and let me know the number that's going to be coming in. Because if I don't recognize it, the odds are I'm not going to answer the phone. Emails, on the other hand, emails, text messages, that sort of thing, absolutely I will answer. Okay. However, friendship requests, I do double check. Okay. So if I don't know where you're coming from, you're stacking the deck against you. Now, and that all out of the way. Okay. I've been really happy with what I've been seeing over the last couple of weeks, with people turning to help each other out, working together from all walks of life. Unfortunately, we have seen something absolutely heinous arrive. Okay, what is going on now? They didn't believe me years ago. Okay, I told people this was coming, and I hate the idea of I told you so, but unfortunately, it is what it is. What we're looking at now, we have a choice right here, right now, and when I say we, I mean everyone in existence. Okay, the riots that are starting, I'm going to caution you, do not let them continue, no matter what side of the argument you're on. The riots that are starting to happen, they are not going to end well. We are going to end up losing a lot of people, a lot of property, okay, on both sides of the board. This conflict has to stop. Okay, now, I've always been a supporter of people that join the military, join the police force, join the first responders to protect their own people, and, protect their own families, to protect the society. I've always been a supporter of it. The actions of the directives of the people in the upper positions, those I question constantly. And rest assured, it doesn't end there. Okay, do I believe in God? Absolutely. Do I question what he's doing or what he is aiming for? Absolutely, I do. So if you're in a position of authority and I'm questioning your actions, understand, you're not the top of the totem pole. In all fairness, in my opinion, neither is God. As a matter of fact, from his opinion, neither is he. But that's a whole different issue. We have to take a look at this. And regardless of which side of the fight you're on, the fighting has to stop. If it doesn't, we're looking at massive death tolls. We're looking at major property losses. Now, for those of you that are on the border, on the edge of poverty, or you're living on the street, the loss of material stuff is not going to be much of a hardship. Okay, you're already used to the struggle. This does not make it any better. But the people that have the businesses, the ones that have the multinational corporations, those are the ones that are going to feel it the most. Most of those are also the ones that are standing there in their great big ivory towers going, the material world is what is important. Well, understand, your material world, your spiritual world, the whole 9 yards. And you don't have to believe me. You can sit back and do nothing. Okay. And you can look down the road a few years and you can see what you're looking at then and see whether or not this was a good idea. I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to take a look at what's going on. And I'm suggesting you think with an open mind. Okay. Absolutely. If you've got questions more specific as to where this is going, drop me a line. I will answer any question I can. But the fighting has to stop. Okay. I was sent a video. Now, we used to blame the multimedia and say they were all controllable. The multimedia cannot compete with the population. With technology where it is, the multimedia, they can deny what they will. The public cameras are going to get out, and you can make all the laws you want. It doesn't really help a lot. I mean, it slows things down. People end up with all kinds of complications. This happened in Germany. It happened in Rome. Okay. So, I mean, when we're looking at it, what happens is a whole bunch of, well, I don't have to tell you how we got to this point. What does matter is how we get out of this point. Now, I know people are getting fired for standing up for what is right and what they see as right. And this includes many of the people in the military and in the police. They are walking across the line. I'm also seeing this happen in Parliament. Okay, where people are walking out of their own caucus. They're walking out of their own party lines and going, this is wrong. Okay. Now, when you have so many people going, this is wrong, and a bunch of other people going, we want it to stay this way, we're dealing with a massive situation here. Okay. I did the calculations on a very broad base, looking at 100,000 people in a city. If you've got 10,000 people that are running that city, as in working directly for the government, okay, you're looking at 10%. Now, the thing we have to remember is we are not talking about overthrowing the system. The parliamentary system, the educational system, they were designed well. But what's happening is the fear and the greed has gotten out of hand. And now we are facing a massive problem. It used to be protests. We're not heading for protests anymore. Unless you people start working together and turn the tide of this now. We're not looking at protests. We're not looking at small riots. We are looking at a massive revolution. This does not end well. Okay, well, it ends well. And then you have to pick up the pieces. But look at the amount of damage you're causing to your neighbors. Look at the amount of damage you're causing to the people you know. Okay, now yes, I'm very much reclusive. Okay, I did that long ago. As it turns out, I've been that way most of my life. This doesn't mean it's any less important. Okay, now, the reality of it is this. You have a choice. You can continue with the fight. You can continue with the violence. You can continue with the deceptions. Okay, it's all up to you. This is not up to me. Okay. But if we don't stop the fighting, it's not just the people that you're fighting that are in positions of political power. Okay. They're not the only ones getting hurt. Yes, they will get hurt, and you may feel better for a short time. But when you start realizing the amount that you've lost in the way of your own social security, your own way of feeling about you, when you look at the amount of damage that you're doing that's coming back, because let's not forget, 3 karmic laws. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Okay. Now, this all holds in this situation. And the people that are out there that are running the churches, that are running the temples, that are running the covens, I am calling on you specifically to really take control or take the situation that you've got some control over, some influence over. Okay. And use that ability to help diffuse this war. Because this is not going to be a war between countries. This is going to be multiple wars inside countries. Now, I said a long time ago, that Canada, the US, and China were on the verge of civil war. Now, you may not want to look at it, and that's fine. You don't have to. You can pull the 2-year-old thing, and you can put your hands over your eyes, or hide under the cover and go, you can't see me. Or what I can't see doesn't hurt me. Well, I got news for you. It does. But it's up to you to end this fight. It's up to you to band together, to put your differences aside and look at the reality of what you're facing. Now, we saw the trucker convoy start, and realistically, what difference does it make how it started? It has evolved to what we're looking at now. Okay, it has gone way beyond the idea of the convoy. Okay, because it's no longer just the truckers that are doing things. They have spearheaded it, absolutely. We got to remember that the truckers, they are not the issue here. What is the issue is where you stand now. Okay, because now what's happening is the world has their eyes on you, regardless of what country you're in. The world has its eyes on you. It's up to you to start turning the energy around. Now, it does start here. It absolutely starts here. Now, I mentioned I'm reclusive. And for me personally, this is turning my stomach upside down. I cannot believe the amount of... No, I can believe it. I've seen it before. But the amount of greed, debauchery, and violence that is propagated right here, right now. We can no longer turn and look at the kids that are living on the street or the drug cartels. We can no longer afford to just isolate it into little pockets and point the finger at other people. Even the politicians, you can't exactly point it at. The system was built and it has become corrupted. Okay, it is twisted so far out, it's mutated so far out of what it was, but it's not irretrievable. That restabilizing is in your hands. Okay, now if you want to take the saying out of the religious vernacular, God is in everyone, which means you have the power to change the energy in your life. When we do that, okay, you get the energy running in your own life, running properly, and we can alter the path that society is on. If you choose to do nothing, and you guys probably don't remember it, some of you do. I remember past lives. We're heading not into a depression. We're heading into the dark ages. Okay. Only in this case, we are going to be looking at things, and you're not going to like this one. Especially those of you that rely on technology and the material world. we are going to be looking at power outages, and this is a worst case scenario. Okay, excluding the nuclear bombs. We already know the alien races won't let that one happen. Okay, this doesn't mean there won't be nuclear bombs detonated. It just means it won't be a full, all-out all-scale war, nuclear war. But we are looking at the start of a revolution. It can be stopped. And I don't mean stop getting things turned around. I mean stop stop the violence, stop the fighting. Okay. Now, those of you that are in positions of authority right now, the ones of you that are working for the police, for the military, you still have a mind of your own. Ask yourself, is what you're being told to do, is that right? Down in the States has been an ongoing battle about the gun laws. Okay. And the reality is, laws don't stop the problem. Because all that the gun laws have ever done, they never made the gun safer. They simply took away the rights of the people. They took away the guns from the honest people. Well, right now, the honest people are having every other right taken away. This doesn't end well. For those of you in the States, think back to the Boston Tea Party. That didn't go well either, at least not for a lot of people. Okay. War does not resolve a problem. All it does is wipes out a whole lot of people. It'll bring peace for a while, but it does not actually work as far as bringing peace. It'll bring quiet. Okay, but this fighting has to stop. If you're joining, and I know there are people that are going from all over Canada, and I've heard that they're coming across the border from the States to join in this powder keg in Ottawa. And like I told people back in Rome, okay, when I was on the Senate in Rome, like I told people then, okay, if this doesn't stop, it's going to decimate society. Now, I don't expect you to believe this, okay, as a matter of fact, considering the last 3 or 4 years I've been telling people it was coming, okay, now I didn't do it on social media, like I didn't do it en masse. Right now, I'm going out onto the net to tell people, look, this has to stop. If it does not, if you choose not to believe me, that's okay. In a manner of speaking. After the fact, you can look back at it and go, uh-oh. Like I had one person tell me point blank, I've been telling them, look, by the time you get to 20 years old, you do not have to have your life in order. You just don't. Okay, in spite of what society tells you, in spite of what every other person tells you, you don't have to have your life in order. Okay, because the majority of people are in their mid-40s to early 50s by the time they figure out what they want to do with their life. Now, this individual I told quite a number of times, and they came back to me recently and went, I really wish I had listened to what you told me. Because, what they said was, everybody else said it had to go this way. And they says, I did that. He says, unfortunately, I wish I had listened to you. The problem was everybody else in society was telling me the other thing. So I listened to them. You currently are in exactly the same point right now. You can choose to listen to me. Okay, I'm not perfect, and I do not have all the answers. I can see where the flaws are, and part of the reason for that, aside from being born the way I am, okay, aside from that, because I've isolated myself from people, okay, I literally, and you'll find this the same, if you pulled away from people, you can see changes more easily. Because of that, I can see what's coming. Now, if you don't believe it, that's okay. I'm not saying that you should just take my word for it. Do your own research. Okay. But I am telling you this fighting has to stop. And for those of you that are in your churches praying and in your temples going, help us. Bad news. Nobody else is coming down here to straighten this out for you. Okay, and I know what it says in the Bible. Okay, was raised in the church, but you were given free will, free choice. Okay, so no, it's not going to be some supernatural being coming down to go, oh, we're going to wipe all this clean and make everybody happy. You were given free choice, therefore it's up to you to modify that. No other worldly race is going to come down and go, let's clean this up. You're the ones responsible. Between you and between all of you, you let this disaster happen. Well, now you're right in the thick of it, and it is time to start changing it. But it's up to you to make those changes. I cannot do it for you. I can simply turn on the lights. And that's all I'm doing at this point. But I am telling you, it is absolutely imperative that this fighting stop. Okay, if you're wearing a uniform and you're told to beat the heck out of people, is that what you got into the uniform for? If you're working in politics and you got in there to try and help people, is taking away everybody's absolute freedom, is that working in the pattern of what you were aiming for? Okay, the medical profession is going, do this, this, and this. Unfortunately, they are split so far down the middle that there is no cooperative effort. Okay, it's like trying to bail the Titanic out when it was sinking using a colander. Okay, we have to realize that this is a situation that every single one of us is partially responsible for. Okay, now, I've stayed out of a lot of things over the years. And as I told one person, I have made some, by staying out of it, I don't know all the odds and ends that's going on politically speaking. And I've made some pretty stupid moves, in my opinion. Okay, but I've done them out of self-imposed ignorance. Where it comes to the political situation, it's self-imposed ignorance, which means it was a choice I made, and the side effects are I'm now standing here in the middle of the start of what could turn into an absolute revolution. Right now, it's riots, it's a lot of protesting. Okay, but I will tell you, laws against protesting have never succeeded. Okay, they succeed for a time, but they don't work. All that does is it takes those protests and those unhappy people, drives them into hiding to plot and to sort things out and to figure out what they're going to do next without knowing what they're up to. That's all that this kind of behavior does when you look at the legislative side of it, is it drives people underground. So you can't see what's going on. You end up splitting society into two very different cultures. You have the culture that lives on the street and that lives out in the sunlight and goes, hey, we're so special. But you've got that same problem has now gone underground. If you're a carpenter, you'll understand this one. You can build your fancy wood buildings. But what happens the second you get a bunch of termites in the buildings? Termites or carpenter ants. Okay, what happens to those fancy buildings? The people that are sitting on their ivory towers, the ones that are sitting there going, I've got all this money, I've got all this stuff. If the laws keep getting pushed the way they are, it will drive the dissidents underground. Now, this does not mean that I'm in favor of one side or the other. I am in favor of life. I'm in favor of peace. Absolutely. Okay, now this has to be a balance point. Okay, it's not a question of whether you're a good person or a bad person. Okay, I've seen so-called really violent people step up and into the, violent people or people with a lot of money step up and go, this is wrong. Okay, I remember years ago, my family my parents used to rent a beach lot. Now everybody knows the history that the bike gangs have. Well, this one day that we were there, there were kids there that were from wealthy families, and I only specify that because that's what they were. Okay, they came from a wealthy family, and they were causing a lot of problem for the people on the beach. Well, it was a biker gang that everybody says are all rowdy and all complicated and they're violent people. It was them that came in and straightened the thing out without raising a hand. They never started the fight. Okay, they simply came out and said, here's the reality. You're causing a problem. You're the problem, not the rest of the people here. So move on. Because we know how to make a fight, how to cause a problem. We don't want to. And there are people with a lot of money that are now stepping up into the middle of this whole situation we're facing, going, this is wrong. Well, when we have a unification between violent people, okay, I've seen people that are labeled as criminals. Well, I will tell you, if you make the laws too tight, you get a lot more criminals. Okay, but people are now starting to unify. The poor, the rich, the pacifists, the violent individuals, they are starting to come together. And this is going to be a massive clash. It is not going to end well in regards to the fact that there will be a staggering amount more deaths. There'll be a lot more crimes being committed because the laws are getting too complicated. They're getting too unbalanced. And all that's happening, and this is where you've got to step in regardless of what walk of life you come from. It is absolutely critical that you start bringing this fight to a close. Find a way to talk. And that includes everybody from the people on the street all the way up to the people sitting in the biggest mansions available. Okay, in case you hadn't noticed, way back, if we go back to Louis XIV, they had all the laws in place, they had all the military in their pocket, and they still ended up with a problem. Okay, we are talking an issue of percentages. The real strength of society is in the people. And remember, the parliament was set up, the governments were set up to find a balance point for people, not to control the people, not to have the people work for the government. It was set up so the government could work for the people. Okay, and this is why I say the system was set up correctly. The whole directive on it has become bent out of shape. But it is up to you, and it's got to be done now. It's got to change. If it does not change, the outcome is simple. We don't have riots. We have full-scale revolution. And yes, that does mean a lot of people die, because that's when, whether people want to admit it or not, that's when bullets and bombs start being used. Okay. And we are not talking about one country. We are talking about many around the world. Okay, I've already specified the three primary ones that I was looking at. In all fairness, I was not expecting Canada to be the first one that did it. Okay, but, the reality is it's got to stop, and it's got to stop now. Okay, the time is now to talk to each other, to get to know the people around you. Quit looking for somebody else to come in and fix this. No matter what a book tells you, the book isn't going to come in, and nothing in the book is going to come in. It will warn you that there are problems, but the reality is that change has to come from you. Now, on that note, I will be back again tomorrow. But until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.